Johnny Mac, as advertised, kind enough to join us. It was really a treat to visit with you during some live match action, and now joining me.
I feel like I made the big time now.
Yeah,
Scott Van Pelt Show, SportsCenter.
Honestly.
It's only been 65 years. You've been doing it 10, the late night, but you were on it for, how long have you been working here, 30 years?
It's been 25 or something like that. You finally you feel like you made it.
Did you ever say, how about getting that old guy McEnroe in? The guy that he did pretty well at the Open?
Only 4. Yeah, today, and here you are. I hope.
Thanks for having me.
One of my best friends, you're his all-time guy. I think he's just like, how did this idiot, that would be me, get to talk to you? I would ask you, as we begin here on this first day, if you give me a headline, an overarching headline of what this event has in store, where do you start? Where's the headline begin?
A lot of confusion because of what happened with Sinner.
Yep.
The Olympics just took place, so there's a lot of tired players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how are they going to respond? Because they put so much effort and emotion into it. Most of the players that were at the Olympics have not done well since. Mm-hmm. So is Djokovic going to be able to dig deep enough? Is Alcaraz a little burnt because he won the French and Wimbledon?
Yeah.
You know, how much does he have left in the tank? How's this going to affect Sinner? You would think that opens the door, God forbid, Scott, for American. Yeah. Maybe a Shelton, Francis Tiafoe. I love those two guys. So Sebastian Korda, Tommy Paul, Fritz, they're all in the top 20.
Right.
We need an American to win one. So
it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
It's been more than a minute, but yeah.
It has. You mentioned Sinner. There is confusion, frankly, right? You have 2 positive tests back in March. It's either positive or it's not.
Right.
I think the comments from Djokovic, they resonated with me. Like, what are we doing? Is it the same for everybody or isn't it? How did it land with you, that news?
Well, first of all, I hate the fact that it takes 6 months before it comes out. Like, why in the hell doesn't it come out right away and someone determine what, took place? I don't know what .001. What is it if it was caught with a lot? Is it .003?
I don't know.
Or is it .12? Or is it 1.2? I don't know any of those things. So it seems hard. This guy doesn't look exactly like Hulk Hogan,
No.
So, you don't. The last guy I would have thought.
Okay.
That would be tested positive for some type of steroid is Sinner, for God's sakes.
Right.
So, and then he's been dealing with this for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like we got to do better than that in our sport. So, I mean, listen, in the NFL, for example, people test positive for steroids and they're out for a month. That's it, I believe. You tell me, but I think that's the case. You can be suspended for 4 years,
right.
Tennis. It's got tough testing. So I'm surprised that, like, after they determined that this was an accident, okay, no problem. But why would he lose his points at the tournament he played then? It makes no sense. So it's somewhat a typically confusing statement from everyone in tennis. This is why I think our sport could do a lot better if the players were more involved. We had a union, for example. We don't have a union. We have an association. Why are we in partnerships? How far off tangent can I get here?
You're John McEnroe. It's New York City, my man. You can go until you're exhausted.
We have a union that with the tournament directors. Why in the hell would we have a union with tournament? I mean, an association. We should have a union for players.
Okay.
And that union should take care of a situation like this. But it doesn't. So I guess Sinner got away with some of this because he can afford to, continue to play while this is happening. Most players couldn't do that, I don't think. So
it creates a pall that feels unnecessary. I agree. You had time to sort this out and not have one of your biggest events played under a headline such as that. You mentioned the Olympics, and I'm really interested in how you, as accomplished a player as you were, reacted to what you saw from Djokovic when he won, because I had never seen him react in that way, and I found it just remarkably moving to see it mean that much to him. What'd you think?
Well, I agree, but, in essence. From 1924 to 1988, there was no tennis in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, I was playing then. I thought it was, why are pros in the Olympics? This doesn't make sense. But eventually the Dream Team came along, and they realized that this could be a good thing for all concerned. Mm-hmm. But now it's become totally professional. So to the players, I believe, the majors have always been the most important. But as far as the countries they represent, particularly a small country like Serbia, that's got a lot more meaning. So that's the only thing he hadn't won. He's won everything numerous times.
Right.
So I get it, his age, when he had gone through the surgery, lost at Wimbledon, hadn't won a tournament all year. To be able to do that against Alcaraz, who's like my favorite player to watch right now. This guy is electric. I love Alcaraz. To beat him at 6-6 at the Olympics at Roland Garros, I mean, that was so sweet for our sport to see that.
He's going to join us live. I'm going to ask him about it. Especially, you had to retire at Roland Garros because of the injury. He dusted you at Wimbledon, and you beat him in the way that he did. I found it all pretty remarkable. Now, when I was on with you during this match, I said, I know you got a big day tomorrow. You got to get out of here. I'm going to date us both here just real quick on the way out. I'm going to go back to my days back in the mid-'80s, Ellicott Hall, University of Maryland. On the wall, there was a poster. You might remember the poster.
Rebel with the cause.
It was a guy in New York, Johnny in the background. I think we got it. If we don't, then there we go.
There it is.
So that was on the wall.
Well, that's when I'm using a wood racket. That's how far back that goes. That's
okay.
The Twin Towers behind me. So
New York City, represent, and you did. And I just would ask you this, as a New Yorker, this venue, this tournament that you won 4 times, just explain to me what all is wrapped up in this event, John, for you.
Well, for me personally, the first tournament I ever played was at the old location, Forest Hills. As a tennis, I was 8 years old and a half years old. I ball boyed for the U.S. Open. I obviously played many U.S. Opens. The last one at Forest Hills, then it moved to this location. I grew up 15 minutes from here. My first U.S. Open final, I played my late great friend Vitas Gerulaitis, who also was from Queens. Scott, you know how many times that had happened before where 2 kids from Queens played the finals of U.S. Open? Let me answer you, none.
None.
You know how many times it's happened since? None. They were booing us, the crowd, because they wanted Borg and Connors.
It's all right.
It's like Djokovic. I relate a little bit because when I was coming up, it was Connors and Borg. They were the 2 greatest players. They were like legendary. Obviously, I just wanted to get in the mix with these guys a little bit. Djokovic asked him, to get to that point with Federer and Nadal, to do what he's done is so amazing to me because I was always frustrated. And I took great pride that I hopefully got to somewhere close to that level or that I got the respect of that. And part of that was because of this event. I was sitting there playing U.S. Open finals or semis, and Jack Nicholson sitting there 10 feet from me. They used to have him on the court. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Of course.
Let me think. Can I get inspired, watching, seeing him?
Kid from Queens.
And so you just take it from there, and now you look at the event. They've they've added to it. They put a lot of resources into it. It's a beautiful thing. I know are you about to cut to commercial?
You know the drill. I'm just going to try to get you out of here so Djokovic can come here and you can get ready for tomorrow. It's a treat to visit with you, man.
Have me again sometimes.
You made the big time, huh? How about it?
That's nice.
Only took 65
finally,
years.
Finally. Thank you.
This guy, huh? You and I were just visiting as you sat down. It's the first time I've ever been lucky enough to come here. They told me you were playing here at night, and I said it'd be a treat if we got a chance to do this. It's really a pleasure to meet you in person after all the years covering you, because I have such an appreciation for your will to compete. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I want to just ask first about tonight. When you're playing someone in the first round, where you're supposed to win, right? And that's the expectation. What's the mentality that you bring with you into a match such as tonight?
Well, first of all, welcome to the US Open, Scott.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Obviously, being a fan of your show, been watching it for years, and it's great to finally meet you and get to share the stage in person with you. Obviously, every win, every match that I get to play, it's it's a thrill, especially here at the US Open. Night sessions are just electric, just so different from anything else. Best night sessions in the history of our sport. Great energy from the crowd. It gets you going. Obviously waited for my match. We almost started at 10 p.m. and kind of almost clocked the midnight. And the crowd stayed in on the biggest stadium in our sport, so I'm really appreciative of that. And I wanted to kickstart this tournament in the right way. I think I did. Some ups and downs, which is normal. I think you're kind of getting out the rust off your shoulders.
Sure.
Coming off from a different surface, Olympic Games. Haven't played on hard courts in 6 months, so I'm still kind of finding that groove, finding that tempo on the court. And I have actually a fun fact about tonight's opponent. I've never faced him, but I have 2 younger brothers, and they both were playing professional tennis. They're retired now, but they both played him and they both lost to him. So I feel like
the family
I feel
name.
like this is there was so much at stake tonight for Djokovic brothers. I feel like there was a revenge for my younger brothers against Alba. But jokes aside, you know, he's a great guy. He's a big competitor. He's, I think 34, 35. He's been around for many years.
Your brothers can rest easy tonight because you sorted things out. You referenced the energy here, and we have a late night show. We came on one night, I believe it was an Alcaraz match. I think we came on at about almost 3 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't care because I love this, and from afar I've always loved the energy, and now tonight to get to experience it. How do you describe what it is? I wonder, can you use this energy? Do you tap into the energy of what the U.S. Open kind of provides? Because it would feel like you could, but it would also feel like maybe it could be too much, like the third rail, right, for the subway, right? I don't know. How do you treat it?
Yeah, I think, you know, as you go along and progress in the tournament, you got to kind of be connected to, you know, how you feel on a given day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you really want to be, you know, internalizing everything and really not paying too much attention to what's going on around you. But sometimes, you know, you want to connect to the crowd on a high level. You want to communicate to them. You want them to support you. You want them to cheer you on. You want them you want to get things going on the court, at the stadium, on the stands, because sometimes you feed off that energy, you know. And tonight, it was a bit of a slower start, but as we went deeper into the match and deeper into the night, I think crowd really wanted to. I guess, entertain themselves, have fun, and it was a couple of great points, and I tried to put them on their feet, and it was fun. It was fun. It always is special, as I said. Electric atmosphere. Just, you know, New York is one of the best cities in the world, and a city that never sleeps. And, you know, the crowd comes from all over the world to support tennis players and this marvelous tennis tournament. It's one of the 4 majors. It's one of the 4 most important tournaments we have in our sport. So, you know, the history and everything, you can feel it, you know, but it keeps on surprising me even better and better each year that I keep on coming back. And as I say, I love playing night sessions. These are by far my favorite night sessions here at Darter Stadium.
They're the most important tournaments of the year. The Olympics is not a slam, and yet I've rarely seen something that I felt as moved by as watching you win the gold medal, because it was so evident. There was that shot of your hand trembling, what it meant. And I just would ask, as best as you can, to explain what it was we were seeing in that moment when that dream was realized that you were an Olympic champion.
Pride, joy, huge relief, because I mean, I've been blessed to achieve many great things in our sport, and that was probably the only big achievement that was missing. So, you know, the anticipation before this year's Olympic Games was great, and I really wanted to do well for my country, for my family, for myself. And, you know, there's an image of and footage of me hugging my daughter and really, you know, expressing all the emotions that were kind of in a way suppressed. And, you know, I had some of the most heartbreaking losses in my whole career at Olympic Games, probably the most heartbreaking losses in Rio 2016, in Tokyo 2020, 21. And so at 37, I thought, you know, maybe this is my last chance. It's my last shot. So.
I've covered golf my whole career in this business. And so Tiger, I learned, never say he can't do something, right? But I'm looking at this and I'm saying, LA in 4 years, I'm not saying you can't. Please hear me say that. But the odds are probably not great, right? This was the window where it had to be. And yet you're playing a man who you just played, who obviously is as good as anyone in the world, and
exactly.
You had to retire at Roland Garros because of the knee. It felt like all these things conspired to create a lane for you where nothing could represent what that moment was, could it?
I mean, I do actually believe in destiny, and I do believe that, you know, the higher force is at play, you know, in certain stages of your life, of your career. This was one of these moments, and it was like a movie script, honestly.
Yeah, it was.
Playing Alcaraz in the finals, and a few weeks before that we played finals of Wimbledon, and he he kicked my ass on the court. Honestly, you know, he played so well. But I think that actually worked in my favor because I felt like, you know, I probably cannot do worse than I did against him there in Wimbledon finals. Was not a good match for me. I knew he's going to come out on the court and play on a high level. So, but I felt good about my chances because the entire tournament I felt great, played great, and I didn't lack any motivation because, you know, you're playing for your country. Olympic Games are the oldest, most important sports event in the history of sports. So there's something extra. You know, the fellow Olympians from a Serbian Olympic team were there. And how they greeted me when I went back to the Olympic Village is something unforgettable. Is something unique. It is the highlight of my career.
That's awesome.
I've never experienced such an intense emotions on the court, so I'm very grateful for that.
You know what I jotted down? That Curry, LeBron, KD, they like you, have achieved great things. Perhaps in some ways greater than a gold medal, and yet to see what it meant to them, I felt like it was the same thing. You've got 24 of these slams, but to see what that meant, as a fan of sports, as I said, I've rarely been moved by something quite like that. It was really a treat to get a chance to say hi. It's very late at night. I know you have to go.
It was an honor. Also, you mentioned the dream team, the U.S. basketball team, and incredible effort, obviously, for them guys. I mean, they played my Serbia in the semis, and they were down 13 in the fourth.
Very close.
I was on the edge of my seat, but you know, kudos to them, and it was amazing privilege to be part of the Olympic Games where these all-time greats, all-time sports greats were part of it as well. So just to witness that was amazing.
Go get 25 this week. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. Thank you.
Novak Djokovic, a winner tonight here in the U.S. Open as he tries to win his 25th slam here in New York, New York.